even though in the past I haven't been good with money, I'm learning, I'm trying, I'm learning a new skill, I'm learning to make it safe. It's okay, body, we're making money safe. And then you go through that routine and you give yourself those affirming thoughts that will also calm your nervous system massively.
Welcome to Tapping In. I'm your host, Marisa Grieco, and today's guest is the beautiful Diana Greshtchuk. She is the CEO of Fan Your Flame, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been doing this work for like 20 years, which is incredible. And what I love about her work is she helps you shift your mindset and your emotional connection towards money. And she also helps her clients with budgeting, investing, saving, all the things that I definitely need a lot of help with. I will not lie. Another thing that we're going to be talking about today, which I'm super excited about, is she's going to help us remove those old programs tied to money, and she's going to replace it with lasting abundance, which I am super excited about because that just sounds fantastic. So welcome, Diana. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. What a pleasure.
I'm just so excited. I just want to get to it. I'm like, lasting abundance. Like, what is this? Cash coming in, flow of money. Like, that just sounds amazing.
Yeah. And on top of what you said, I'm actually a CPA as well. So I have the practical financial training and education to then help with the outer work once you get the inner work done around your emotions and your mindset. So it really blends it all. And that's not something you see a lot.
I know. That's why I'm super excited, because I think that's one of the things I have a hard time with, right? I love the energy realm and I'm always playing there and I'm always trying to remove this program. And I think I got it all down. But then when I come back to the third dimension, I still have my money fears. Like all of a sudden, you know, how do you charge for something that you love to do? You know, how do you release that guilt with that? Do you have any suggestions around that area?
Well, first off, what I like to tell my clients is guilt is a choice, and you don't have to pick up their bags. You don't have to pick them up. They're not yours. And I used to say as a kid, pack your bags, we're going on a guilt trip. But actually, because guilt is a choice, you get to actively choose your mindset and choose your thoughts each day. I don't know if you've ever heard of something called the thought loop, but it's a concept where your thoughts dictate your feelings, which dictate your behaviors, which dictates your reality. So if you're not in a reality that you want to be in, if you're feeling guilt about charging something, right, then you get to reverse engineer that thought loop and say, gosh, I don't like this reality. Okay, what am I feeling? I'm feeling guilt. And so then we back into, well, why am I feeling the guilt? Why am I behaving with guilt? And then you go to the thought, oh, guilt. Oh, I shouldn't be spending that. That's my thought. Oh, I just need to change my thought. And then you reprogram it to, I really need this thing, or it's going to help my business grow. And then that's going to change your feelings around it, which is going to change your behaviors, which isn't going to bring up the guilt in the first place in your reality.
It's amazing. I was just like, where's my pen? I'm like, yes. Okay, that was amazing. But let's go back to that unlimited abundance, just because I feel like I brushed over that. I got so excited. What is that all about?
So abundance is something, and I think a lot of people hear it, you know, along the lines of prosperity, and a lot of people only tie it to money, like wealth, yes, prosperity, abundance, but it means so much more than money too. Okay. There is an abundance of family. There is an abundance of love. There's an abundance of grace when you screw up. There's so much abundance out there. And I think the key to abundance is for people to realize what they already have. I think Sheryl Crow saying it best, where it's not getting what you want, it's wanting what you've got. So one of the key practices for me for abundance, to get it to flow to you in a way, you have to give it first. I think of it like plumbing, like you can't have water coming through your pipe if you don't have a pipe in the first place that's out to allow that flow to come to you, right? So you need to have that pushing out, that structure to allow that flow to come to you, which then means for abundance, you need to be able to receive in order to pour. You need to be able to fill your own cup in order to give other people. And the way you fill your cup is with gratitude. You take a look at everything you already have, the things you're not even noticing on a daily basis. And that's what you use to fill your cup. Like, I'm so grateful I got here without a lot of traffic and the road was wide open and it was super easy. I'm so grateful that it's a sunny day. And it's like all the things that you don't even notice sometimes. It's this massive awareness, the gratitude for it. And then that lets you see the things that are gifts that you didn't even know that you were receiving. And that automatically increases your flow of abundance.
That's amazing. Because I think so much of the time we're so unconscious of our thoughts. And I feel like our emotional set point is more heavy, negative, like our body just feels more comfortable in that space. So we are feeding it with, I don't have enough, the weather's crappy, and you don't realize that everything that you said, you get stuck in these loops. And even being grateful feels like such a huge step. But if you're mindful and you start really tiny, it really helps get that flow going. So what are some tips then? Like first you work with a client, right? And then you kind of see where their blocks are. Like if I came to you, would you ask me a series of questions to kind of know what my blocks are towards abundance and receiving? And then you would take me through some exercises?
Sure. So generally what I do is I send my clients a questionnaire, but right now the biggest thing I have is a freebie. It's a money date handbook. And what I really love to encourage people to do, because they've probably never thought about it, is to go on a money date with themselves. Pour the champagne, light the candle, whatever it takes. Set aside time where kids can't bother you. If you have a spouse and you do family finances, have the spouse there too. And make sure that you're comfortable. It's a way to get close to your money. And I call it getting financially naked. So it takes this level of bravery and courage and intimacy to get close to your finances. Because what a lot of my clients don't realize when they come to me is they have a relationship with money, whether they know it or not. And I work a lot in attachment styles as well. So there's a secure relationship with money, but they may have avoidant or anxious or disorganized attachment styles with money.
Yes.
And so a lot of the time, because they're on autopilot and they're not having that awareness, they don't even realize they have a relationship with money. So beyond asking a series of questions, the money date will help you figure out all of your assets, all of your liabilities. So assets are things that you own. Liabilities are things that you owe. It will ask you, where are you making your money from, like your revenues or your income, and where are you spending your money, like your expenses. And from there, we can put together in a non-Excel way that isn't scary,
Right.
And get you something that isn't a spreadsheet that tells you what your personal financial statements are. Your financial dashboard. You can't fly a plane. You can't get to your dreams or your destination without having the dashboard in your plane. So you need to know where you are, where your point A is. That's your personal financial statements right now. And so that's what I need to do with a lot of my clients. And in going through that process, it all shakes out. There are some people who can't even look at it. There are some people who need a popsicle to feel safe. There are some people that just keep getting up and doing chores or go wash their hair because they can't even deal with it. And I have people that won't even fill it out because it's too stressful. That's where all the money stuff shakes out. I don't have to ask questions. We speak that language consciously and unconsciously.
It's so interesting that you say that, because all the, I don't want to say negative, but the heavy stuff around it really resonates with me. I'm like, I almost don't want to know. Like, it's a surprise. Like, if I don't know, then it's not going to bother me either way. I just live with that mindset of abundance. And I'm like, I just hope I don't rock the boat in any direction. But at the same time, I can feel a wall between me and the abundance, right? It's some areas, like I can do it with friends, and other areas of my life, relationships. But even when you talk about the finances, I automatically feel like, oh, that's for the other people. Like,
that's so interesting.
Yeah, that's like.
Are you open to some feedback about that?
Yeah, of course.
That would be something that to me would indicate an avoidant attachment style with money. You don't want to know, you just hope for the best. It's over there and nothing bad has happened yet.
Right.
If I put it on the credit card, I might not live to pay it off. That's fine. We'll figure it out later. My retirement plan is to die early, right? Like,
right.
And that avoidant style can lead to an insecure relationship with money.
Right.
And so the way to counter that is, you mentioned a wall. That's absolutely what an avoidant does. They put up a wall between them and the other thing because they want to avoid it. They don't want to see it. That's what makes them feel safe, Because it's coming from fear.
Definitely
So what are
fear.
you afraid of about money?
I think it's being measured. Like, so there's a part of me, like, if I have so much, then that means X. If I don't have anything. So I think it's a little bit of my worth, right? And I don't want to tie my worth to how much money I have. So there's a part of me that's like, well, if I don't know, then it's still just me and I'm this free spirit and I'm kind of like, la, la, la. But at the same time, then I find it hard, say, to even charge for what I do, because then there's a feeling of, I don't want to say guilt, but it's almost like, when you love what you're doing, it's almost like asking somebody to pay you for it. There's also a charge in that, like, well, this doesn't seem fair because.
And that's one of the biggest things in this mindset work is our human brains are so interesting. They love to make meaning. We are video cameras from when we're 0 to 7 years old, and we're just taking everything in. And our brains are like computers, and they love shortcuts. So they love that when someone's talking about money, oh, that's a unit of currency. That's a way to measure value. That must be how I, as a person, have my value measured. Right. Has nothing to do with your value as a person. You are inherently valuable. That is your birthright. Your prices have nothing to do with your value and the service you provide. And so you making that meaning comes from something you learned as a child. And so those are the programs that we unconsciously build when we're children that lead to our relationship with money as an adult. And so many female entrepreneurs undercharge. That's like a thing. And you're not the only one. And that comes from this place of, oh, I give and I give and I give. But then this goes back to the point of abundance because you can't pour from an empty pitcher. Right. You need to fill your pitcher to pour into other people. So how do you fill your cup, right?
How do I kind of bring that abundance feeling, that receiving feeling, and start to treat money more as energy as opposed to this duality of having it, not having it? What are you charging? What is something?
And I think it's going to go back to actually that fear that you felt around that and that avoidance that's coming from trauma likely sustained as a child. For me, I heard my parents fighting about money all the time. So I knew when I grew up, I never wanted to worry about money. So when it was time to fill out that college application, I was like, I'm going to major in finance. And then I added an accounting major. I'm never going to be without a job. And that was the security I needed. So fear and security are at the deepest root of a lot of issues around money. Especially with avoidant attachment styles. And so with security, what I have learned is that's actually an inside job. There is no amount of money that can make me feel secure. I could have $5 million, like a wealthy person right there, a bajillionaire. They might still have security because they're worried about something. They have all these locks on their houses and they have all these accounts in the Cayman because they don't want to pay taxes. And there's still this fear, this insecurity around it. So security is an inside job and it has nothing to do with money. But what we would do if you came in with your avoidant attachment style is look at your thought programming, your thought loops that are running that behavior of looking away from your money and not looking at it. That's as simple as it is, but it's not that simple either. It's a whole process. And part of it is, first, you have to become aware and observe yourself. And that's something not a lot of us do. So what I do with my clients is I have them get their phones and set 4 alarms throughout the day. We do breathing breaks. The biggest thing about those fears and those issues and the insecurity underrooting this is your nervous system is freaked out. It's thinking you're being chased by a bear. You're terrified. You don't want to look at the money. So the only way you can do anything with money first is you have to make it safe. So I'm what is called a trauma-informed financial literacy coach.
It's brilliant.
Which means that, whether you had big T or little t trauma, it comes from this place of acknowledging every human has sustained trauma, whether they know it or not. Right. And trauma is not the event that happens. Trauma is your body's response to the event. When you sustain trauma, your nervous system is fried and it creates shortcuts in your brain. So your brain thinks you're being chased by a bear when you go to pay your bills. And I don't know if anyone writes checks anymore.
I love that.
Online billing.
Kids are like, what is she doing?
But you start sweating, you're angry, and then your kids are watching you pay these bills. And I can't believe I have to pay this utility bill. Right. But what I would do with my client is say, oh, A utility bill. Oh, I'm so grateful I had air conditioning on a hot summer day. I'm so grateful I had heat when it was freezing cold. I'm so grateful my air purifiers were running when the fires were happening. I will happily pay this utility bill. Yes, I'm so grateful. Thank you. And that shifts that fear right away to then change your behavior around paying the bills. And that feeling of security and fear dissipates.
And now what about charging for your own services? Like for people that have a hard time putting a price on what they do, how would I apply that?
Well, there's a lot of different ways I could go about answering that question. But I think the biggest thing from my nerd phase and my CPA side is you need to do some basic cost accounting for your business. You need to look at variable costs and fixed costs. Do you have a studio? Do you pay rent? Is there overhead? Are you paying an assistant? What are your fixed costs that you know? What are your variable costs? Now, you always want to recover your variable costs for every service you charge. If you have an hour of time, a lot of entrepreneurs are in the services space. So it's their time for that 1 hour, let's say, with a client. But there's all that time on professional development, the qualification, the education, the scheduling in the background, the doing my taxes, all of it. So in cost account, yeah, exactly. Here, let me give you some nervous system techniques right now, not drinking. But thinking about all those costs that go into it, you can't just charge $20 for an hour of your time when it really costs your business $500 an hour, let's say.
Right.
So having a basic awareness of the inputs of your business to that output that generates the revenue is key.
Okay, so what's the mindset piece beyond all that accounting?
Okay, so then that's when we get into it's around knowing your value has nothing to do with the price that you charge for your services. Mm-hmm. Your value comes from what you believe about yourself, your self-concept, and what your beliefs are. They need to be empowering. So when you find people that aren't charging enough for their services, very often they have disempowering beliefs about themselves. I'm not good enough at what I do. There are other people who are better than me. I'm new at this. Those can be disempowering, but empowering beliefs might sound like I'm great at technology. I make meaningful connections with people everywhere I go. I'm not perfect, but I'm learning. And those are much more empowering. So when you start to think that way, again, reprogramming your thoughts, it leads to a very different outcome for you.
And you feel the frequency, the difference, like just even you doing those, the other one, you're just like, I want to slap the other one, right? You want to just be like, get over it, right? And that's also why we get triggered by people when they're representing a part of us that we don't really like. So just seeing you in that, I can also see the practice of getting my body, again, used to that frequency. So by practicing gratitude, by looking for all the good things, you could start to reflect those back to yourself so that you're actually getting your vessel more comfortable with the frequency.
And so many people in the financial world love to tell you that money has nothing to do with your body, that money has nothing to do with your emotions. There is actually an emotional vibrational scale that you can go Google online and it's all in rainbow colors, but the highest frequencies are the ones that resonate with joy and the lowest are the fear and the anger. Yeah. And wherever you are in there, when you run into someone that triggers you, it's triggering something at some lower frequency when you want to be high vibing. So, but there's a part in you that's resonating with it.
Right.
And so then that gets to teach you what's going on.
Right. It's part of us that we still need to heal, embrace, and let go.
But financial people love to tell you it's not about your body, but that's where you feel the fear. That's where your palms get sweaty, your armpits get sweaty, you get a little flushed when you have to think about money. So the other thing I need to do with my clients, I mentioned making it safe. This is about your nervous system.
Okay, yeah, this is
so your nervous system has a giant nerve down along your spinal cord, and it's called your vagus nerve. No, not like the city with all the gambling. However, it's very important for your whole central nervous system. So there are lots of ways that you can calm your vagus nerve. There's something called alternate nostril breathing, where you plug one nostril and breathe in, and then you plug the other and breathe out. That will calm your body and bring it into both sides. There's also a little known tip. You can calm your vagus nerve actually by massaging your breasts.
Close up. Close up of the body.
And this calms your body. It's almost like giving yourself a hug, but you're touching your heart space. You're touching your solar plexus. You know, these chakras, and you are reminding yourself, I am in my body. Another one I love to do is there is lighting candles, scented candles. That smell can actually help focus you and calm you. If you have just a regular pen or pencil at home, one way to calm your nervous system is hold it out and just look at the tip, just the tip, for 5 seconds. And then come back to the room, and that focus, that level of focus just for 5 seconds will actually do something to your body that just like, oh, okay. I'm in this one place. I can see this one thing. I'm okay. There's also something known that was made famous by Brad Yates called tapping. I don't know if you're aware of tapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So an example of tapping is there's a whole sequence that you do where, you know, you start with the top of your head and then you tap your forehead and then you tap over your eyebrow and then your temple and then under your eye, under your nose, on your chin, on your chest, maybe under your armpit, and then you go repeat it again. But then while you're tapping, you say things like, even though in the past I haven't been good with money, I'm learning, I'm trying, I'm learning a new skill, I'm learning to make it safe. It's okay, body. We're making money safe. And then you go through that routine and you give yourself those affirming thoughts that will also calm your nervous system massively.
It's amazing how many, first of all, those are amazing tips, but it's just amazing how many layers there are, right? Like we always just think, I just got to jump in and just do it. But taking care of ourselves and removing these old programs and having the tips and techniques to kind of help you with that process are so important because we just don't know. And then that wall's always there and we don't have a good relationship.
Well, now I'm super relaxed. I have the best relationship with money right now.
Yeah, you're like, there's money coming to me right now. But it's so wonderful too, because again, money is energy, right? So when you change the relationship and we change the programming and the stories and the limiting beliefs, all of a sudden it's just like you said. It's
and
like,
you let your body in on it too. Your body needs to be, it's sort of the way I talk about mindset is your subconscious, which is 95 to 97% of your brain, is like a giant elephant. And your conscious is the 3 to 5% that's your waking dreams, desires, wants, and wishes. You are trying to ride that elephant and get that elephant to go where you want it to go. You want money, you want success, you want a family, you want joy, you want opportunities. That totally makes sense. However, your elephant wants to go over there. It wants to take you down the same pattern that you've been doing for years scarcity because it knows that way.
Right.
Your elephant is not there to make you happy, is not there to make you better. Your subconscious will just keep running the same programming because that's what our brains do.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. So once I've done all this work, once I'm like tapped out, I'm like, looking at my pen, I'm all, I got my sage. I'm like, and I could even, as you're speaking, I'm like, get rid of that program. Like that doesn't work anymore. It's limiting, get out of the way. So let's just say I'm feeling good. I'm like, I'm okay with the language. I'm okay with looking. What's the next step? Like, how do I, again, bring it down to the 3D? Because I love this work where I'm like, oh, I feel that program, tap, tap, tap. But how do I then put it down on paper? Or
So what you've just described is bringing it down to the 3D. When we start this reprogramming process of changing our thoughts from the subconscious, maybe disempowering the old patterns, the first step is that awareness. So I call it this exercise where you have your non-judgmental observer on your shoulder. So I've got Diana right here walking around with me. And this is my self energy if you do IFS work. This is my higher self if you believe in spirituality. But this is the Diana that is truly next level in the 5D. And I outsource my decision making to my chief decision officer, Diana, my CDO. And what she does is she walks around with me all day when I do my breathing alarms and my breathing breaks for my nervous system. What am I doing in that moment where my alarm went off? Oh, I'm stressing about this thing that's happening that's way out of my control. Oh, okay. So your observer and your building awareness will help you observe the patterns that are playing out that you weren't even aware of, that were running in the background, your elephant, your subconscious, right? So the first thing you need to do in this reprogramming is figure out all those things that aren't helping you. You want to trash those. And then when you come down from the 5D, you want to visualize what you do want. I don't want to be getting in a tizzy about that squirrel over there that's on my lawn that I can't do anything about, because those squirrels. Anyway. So then you get to reprogram, no, I want to have some key emotions that I want to feel. And so the way I define success is I want to feel 3 emotions for as many hours of the day as possible.
Ooh, I like drum
So
roll.
mine are gratitude, passion, and limitlessness. And what that does for me is it creates this infinity symbol of, with gratitude, I see everything I've already got. That fills my cup. With passion, that allows me to pour into other people and give of myself. And when I am receiving and giving, that creates my limitlessness. And so those are the feelings I want to feel in the day. And if I'm not feeling, when that breathing alarm goes off, the way that I want to feel, then that's my visualization. That's what I do want. That's the reprogramming. So in all those moments when you non-judgmentally observe yourself and you're not in one of those 3 feelings, and you could choose whatever, peace, calm, happiness, ease, joy, then you get to make a new choice in that moment. You get to observe, pause, and make a new choice.
Sometimes I feel like asking for money feels like I'm looking for validation. So again, how do I detach my self-worth from my income and just see money as like neutral?
Okay, so that's where I go to this practice with my clients where I actually have them personify money. And it's not even about getting to a neutral place with money. Okay. Yes, if you have in the vibrational emotional scale, if you're at some very low vibing energies and it doesn't feel good, yes, it's a goal to get to neutral. But what I really love is to take my clients to the next level and make them joyful about money. And so when they don't realize they have a relationship with money, what I like to do is have them actually make it a person. Because for so long in some people's stories, money is the villain. Money doesn't have to be the villain. It can be the protagonist. It can be the things that let your business get funding to go take it to the next level. Money can be the hero in your story, and I want you to love it. So the exercise, I'll give you an example. When I personify money, my personified money character is Alfred Pennyworth, who is the butler for Batman. And with that, that allows me to feel about money the way I would feel about a faithful, loyal butler who helps me every day. I cannot have the impact I have as Batman, as Diana. I can't do all that in this world without money as my tool to help me with that, who anticipates my every need, has the Batmobile ready, brings me a cup of coffee, makes sure my rubber outfits are looking fresh and popping, And so that's what money does for me in my relationship with money. And in return, I am so grateful for Alfred Pennyworth. I remind money, I'm grateful for it. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you let me do. And with that, I'm not attached to it. I'm so grateful for it. It comes in abundance. And when money is thanked, money keeps showing up. When Alfred Pennyworth feels valued, he's going to keep showing up. Mm-hmm. And so in a way, money needs to be valued. And so it's not about you feeling validation from that. It's more, how are you giving validation to the money? Ask not what your money can do for you, but what you can do for your money, or something like that.
Yeah, that's, I love it. I love your perspective on how you've tapped into the whole abundance and seeing money. It's almost like seeing everything with clear eyes. I'm just I want to get rid of that wall. I want to be connected to, because you automatically switched it for me. I went from feeling, it's almost like this awkward relationship. I don't know if I'm supposed to like you. I don't know how I feel about you. To get over here, come be my butler.
It was really interesting. I had a client who was from a southern state that shall remain nameless. And she did this exercise where she personified money. And it was an androgynous transgender person, this money character to her. Yeah. And being from the South, she didn't know how to relate to it. This androgynous character was beautiful, gorgeous, flowing, sexy, everything. And it made her really uncomfortable. And she was like, but I don't look like that. You know, I'm a mom, I'm divorced, I have 4 kids. I just don't look like that. And it was so interesting in a moment of awareness, because it's like, money doesn't need you to look like it. Money is in a relationship with you for you. People forget that. You don't need to look like your partner.
Right.
You don't need to match them in every way, but you guys need to have a good system and be a team, right?
Yeah.
And she didn't know what to do with a team member that was just so foreign to her.
If you could plant one seed of advice to our audience, what would that seed be?
That would be, you need to remember that you are the asset. It's not about how much you charge for your services. It's not about your value per se, but you are the asset and you are worthy of investment. Somewhere along the line, usually after college, a lot of people stop investing in themselves. And they don't necessarily seek higher education or qualifications or joy. And so it's realizing that you are the asset worthy of investment. Put the money into yourself and it will pay dividends and generate future cash flows in ways that you didn't even know were possible.
That's so cool. I know, I just love it. I feel like I want to have a pen and paper because, again, I feel so much more frisky about it. It almost, like, again, tapping into it just feels so much more fun as opposed to scary. And I haven't even done your course. Just sitting with you has already shifted me.
Good.
Because you do teach this, right?
I do. Course? I have a 9-week course called Spark, and it goes through everything you need to do. I took you through a very abbreviated version of that reprogramming
and I already
process.
Feel healed. I'm like...
But it's wonderful. It's one-on-one. It's live. So you get an hour with me every week and we just go through everything. You get homework and it just takes you to the next level. It's the inner work that then makes the outer work of then being able to breathe okay and not need a popsicle when you're going to go have a money date with yourself and do your finances and make a budget. Right?
Yeah. That sounds amazing. We're going to have to post that on, or post her website and all the information, of course. I'll have some links up for you. I really want to thank you for being here today. Everything, all the money, the abundance, the tips was fantastic. You were such a pleasure to have on the show.
Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's not every day I get to play with my chest on a
Welcome to Tapping In. We are going to make money now. We are taking finances away from men officially by rubbing our breasts. Until next time, keep tapping in.
If you want more, please join our community at marisagrieco.com.